Hey, what's going on everyone? Monado Max here, and today we are back with another video. First off, I want to point out if I sound different, I have major allergies going on right now. I actually avoided making videos because of how I sounded, but I gotta make this video because it's just perfect timing right now with everything that's happening, especially just the timing. It's perfect. We're going to be discussing Metroid Prime 4 today. Obviously, this is an interesting game. You know, this is probably one of the most highly requested games for a very long time. It finally got announced, and then it got canceled, restart development, all that good stuff. And that game was announced in 2017, and here we are in 2023 with literally no gameplay footage regarding the game. So we need to know what's happening with the game, when's it coming out, all that good stuff. This video is basically going to be talking about when I believe the game's coming out, a lot of points, the development, how it's going. We're going to be discussing all that into this video. So sit back, grab some popcorn, let's get right into the video. So yeah, the game was announced at E3 June 2017. It was probably one of the most unexpected announcements for the Nintendo Switch because, you know, Metroid at the time, it's way more popular now, but Metroid was a part of that series where people was thinking, Nintendo's not going to do anything with it because we had Metroid Prime Federation Force on the 3DS a year before. Didn't sell well. We had Star Fox Zero a year before. Didn't sell well. So a lot of people thought, you know, Star Fox, Metroid, these are going to be going into Nintendo's vault of IPs that won't be used for the Nintendo Switch because the games weren't selling well. Boy, did Nintendo prove us wrong with that announcement trailer. I believe it was one of the last reveals of their E3 presentation. Was showing off that Metroid Prime 4 was now in development for the Nintendo Switch. We didn't know anything about it. It was actually quite an interesting E3 for Metroid fans because literally after that, they had the Nintendo Treehouse where they announced Metroid Samus Returns for the 3DS. So yeah, two major Metroid games announced in the same week. It was quite interesting. But what's interesting about Metroid Prime 4 is we didn't know who was developing it. They made sure not to tell us who was developing it. I remember that being a big thing at the Treehouse because I believe one of the Nintendo employees actually asked who's developing it. Like they tried to get more information out of it, but one of the directors was there. I was like, no, I don't know. We're not talking about that. So it wasn't Retro Studios, the original team that has done all the Metroid Prime games. So it was very interesting at the time because, you know, everybody assumed if they made a Metroid Prime 4, it would have been Retro Studios that would have made this game. We jump forward into 2019, January. Nintendo has not given us any updates on Metroid Prime 4. It was expected that there would not be updates because they literally said that the game is now in development. This was like one of Nintendo's early stages of the Switch where they started announcing games way early than they should have because that same year they announced Bayonetta 3 and we didn't hear anything about that game until last 2021 and that was like 4 years of no Bayonetta news. So Nintendo has stopped doing that recently, or after that year, but we saw in 2019, January, we got a tweet from Nintendo. I think it was actually a video titled Development Update on Metroid Prime 4. Basically, they just straight up said they canceled the development that was already on the game when we saw it announced in 2017, that they fired that team that worked on that game and that they were starting completely scratch with Retro Studios. A lot of speculation that the team that actually was working on Metroid Prime 4 was actually Bandai Namco. There was a lot of evidence that supported this theory that Bandai Namco was the Metroid Prime 4 original developers, but it's never still been confirmed who actually developed the original version of Metroid Prime 4. And here we are, literally 4 years later since that tweet came out, we still have no Metroid Prime 4 news. So yeah, but there's been a lot of Metroid stuff that's happened in between all of that I think it's important to talk about before we go into detail of when I think Metroid Prime 4 is coming out. So obviously we had the major release of Metroid Red. Metroid Dread was the next mainline series in the Metroid series, and it was also the first time we had a new Metroid game that wasn't like a remaster, remake, HD re-release, all that type of stuff in a very long time. It was something that was very unexpectedly announced at Nintendo E3 2021. It was awesome. The game came out, it looked beautiful, came out with the Nintendo Switch OLED, and the game sold like crazy. Not like crazy, but it sold over 3 million copies, which is very good for a game like Metroid, something that doesn't sell often. It was one of the highest, I think it was the highest in the series, that was the best-selling game. So obviously, I think one of the things that Nintendo is doing when it comes to Metroid Prime 4 is they're trying to build Metroid up again, where all the fans of that hasn't really played a Metroid game will be interested in Metroid Prime 4 when it releases, because Nintendo is putting so much money into this game, so much time. They're considering Metroid Prime 4 to be a very big release whenever it comes out. They're playing it smart by doing games like Metroid Red to build the interest of the Metroid series. Not to mention, there is a lot of rumors and leaks since 2018 that they're re-releasing the Metroid Prime Trilogy, or at least the first Metroid Prime game in some form on the Nintendo Switch. This whole rumor started when the game didn't get canceled or restart development, whatever you want to call that, back in 2018. But the leaks and rumors said that Nintendo was holding out to release this next, like the old Metroid Prime games, until Metroid Prime 4 was closer to being done. That way, when fans buy Metroid Prime Trilogy on the Switch, they'll be buying Metroid Prime 4, and it would all come out in the same year. So that rumor has been floating around every single year. It's something that has obviously been talked about all the time, and I definitely agree with this rumor. I think it exists. I just don't know when Metroid Prime, whether it's the trilogy or the first game, I don't know when it's coming out on the Switch. It's gonna add on to the whole game plan that I just told you about, how Nintendo is trying to build more interest into Metroid Prime 4 by doing things like Metroid Dread, re-releasing the Metroid Prime games, all this stuff. There's a big marketing play that they have for Metroid Prime 4. Now, I know there's probably concern about how it's been 4 years, we haven't heard a single thing about this game, nothing. But one thing I think people forget is Retro Studios is a pretty small team. I believe when it came to Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, that was a few years of development right there. I don't remember how long, but the team is so small that they're not this big team like Bandai Namco, who was working, or who I think was working on Metroid Prime 4, which they would have gotten the game out way sooner because they're a bigger team, all that good stuff. They've worked with Nintendo in the past and bringing big AAA games out, where Retro Studios, I don't think they've released anything since Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. So that team was working on something before they worked on Metroid Prime 4 that they're either still working on or got canceled to move forward to Metroid Prime 4. So I think one of the reasons why we haven't heard much is because this game is going to take longer than we think, just because, again, Retro is a way smaller team, starting over completely from scratch compared to all the other stuff. It's gonna be completely different. And there's also the fact that Retro Studios has been hiring over the last year. There's been a bunch of hiring from them. I think that adds on to Metroid Prime news is eventually coming. The development's going great. But if they're still hiring for that game, I think it's way further out than we think. Like, I don't think it's gonna come out this year. And I know there's some people that is pushing for it to come out this year. I don't see Metroid Prime 4 coming out this year. If you ask me, and I have actually, fun fact, always said this since the day Metroid Prime 4 got announced for the Nintendo Switch, I felt like this was gonna be Nintendo's last big first-party game on the Switch. In fact, I'm actually predicting Metroid Prime 4 will actually come out on the Nintendo Switch and the next Nintendo console. I think the Nintendo Switch is ending its life cycle way sooner than everyone thinks, which sucks because I love my Nintendo Switch. I love it. I love the colors of the cases. It makes my shelf look so awesome. But I think the Nintendo Switch is way sooner to be coming to an end than we realize. Going into 2023, we're gonna see less Nintendo, big Nintendo first-party games. We're gonna see more ports, remakes, that type of stuff, rather than new games. Because I think we're gonna see a shift go into this next Nintendo console. Tears of the Kingdom, that's coming out in May this year. I have a feeling that's gonna be Nintendo's big holiday game, even though it's coming out in May. Because I think this is the year of remasters. We're kind of seeing that already with the new Kirby game coming out this year. That's a remaster. I think we're gonna see more of that this year. Possibly Xenoblade Chronicles X, I don't know. Brings up Metroid Prime, you know, that's supposed to be a remaster that's coming to the Switch eventually. I think this is the year that we see that. because I do think we are getting Metroid Prime news this year when it comes to Metroid Prime 4 at some point. I don't know when, but I think this is the year that we hear about the game, maybe see gameplay, or at least something on the game, because I do think we're getting closer and closer to the release. I think, realistically, I think the Switch has a maximum of 2 years left. I think 2024, 2025 is when the Switch will come to an end when it comes to the first-party support. And I don't believe people with this whole Super Nintendo Switch thing. They're not gonna do that. It does not make sense for multiple reasons. And I know a lot of YouTubers are trying to make videos on Nintendo making a Super Nintendo Switch or Nintendo Switch Pro, that type of stuff. That's not gonna happen. Like, trust me on this, that's not gonna happen. It does not realistically make sense for multiple reasons, because Nintendo is way too late to be doing something like that, and it does not make sense. If you ask me, I think Metroid Prime 4 is coming out 2024, 2025 on the Switch and the next Nintendo console. Very similar to how Twilight Princess came out on the Wii and GameCube, and how Zelda Breath of the Wild came out on the Wii U and Switch the same day. I really think that that's what's happened, because they're putting so much time into this. This game is going to be coming out close to the Nintendo Switch life cycle. I think they're going to push it to be the last game because of how much money they put into that, and have it be a big launch title to the next Nintendo console. Similar to how they did with Breath of the Wild, I see a very similar marketing strategy coming for Metroid Prime 4, and I truly believe that that's what's happening here. I do want to know what you guys think, because that's a big theory. I don't know if I've said it on the channel before, but I have always felt since 2017 that was going to happen with Prime 4. I don't know why I felt that way, because that wouldn't have made sense since, you know, 2017 was very early in the Switch cycle. But I have always said this. My editor who's editing this video will tell you that I have said this for a very long time. So in a few years, I'm going to go back to this video and we're going to see if I'm either really awesome, genius, or we're going to come back to this video and be like, Max, you're a moron, idiot, never do a video again. Anyways, guys, I've been talking for way too much. I want to know what you guys are thinking with the Metroid series. What do you think is happening? I'm actually quite interested in to see what you guys think is going to happen with the Prime remasters, because the rumors for that game is all over the place. It started out as Trilogy, and now it's starting out as they're just re-releasing the first game. I want to know what you guys think, and I want to know what you guys think is going to come out, all that good stuff, because Nintendo has some sort of strategy with Metroid Prime 4, and it has to do with Metroid Prime 4, Metroid Prime remasters coming into play. It's going to be interesting. I want to know everything. So, I've been talking for way too much. Make sure to backslash that subscribe button, like the video, check out my Twitter, check out the Twitch, check out the Discord server. The Discord server really has been popping. My editor will tell you that it's been popping because he's been doing a lot also. A lot of people have been doing some crazy things over there at the Discord server. We've been doing giveaways, cool things, been hanging out almost every night in there. It's been great. The Instagram, everything that's in the description, check it out. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.